Rahim, and thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here, Brigadier Zishan. And first of all, many, many congratulations for organizing this session. Given the importance of today's topic, it is surprising and pleasantly surprising to see so many young people on both genders in the room. I think this is quite a commendable effort because we practitioners, we go around into so many meetings every week, and it goes on, and we actually come across with very similar faces, and many a times actually we hear very similar presentations and speeches as well. So I think it is a departure in a way, and it's good to see so many young people because they are the one who are going to be taking these challenges forward, the kind of mess which our generation is leaving behind for them. So since the audience is refreshingly new, so I'm not going to be boring you with any of my presentations which I might have given so many times repeatedly. But nevertheless, given the importance, and one more comment, Brigadier Saab. One of my colleagues here earlier on in the previous session, he took the floor and he made a very valuable comment that congratulating CPSD on organizing this session on security in a non-traditional security challenges and the matters and the issues. Let me add a slight cheeky addition to that very interesting and very important comment. Yes, it is commendable that the piece has been considered, contextualized in those very contemporary and new challenges, and those are the emerging challenges. But the fact remains that we actually reach to this level after passing many of the tipping points, after surviving ourselves through to many crises, many disasters, and so this is a kind of a compulsion on which we have arrived ourselves. Would have been nicer, much nicer, as a nation and as practitioners to actually being able to realize the impact of these issues much earlier on and position ourselves and prepare ourselves to deal with those issues. But as they say, it's never too late, and hopefully we'll see this some kind of a shift and a change in the policy making as well as in terms of the coming up with our preparedness towards implementation. And the sessions like this actually, of course, are going to be contributing like this. Now, the nexus between the climate change, water, and food security, I think this is so much given. This is so much very well established in the literature, and we practitioners, the policy practitioners, we actually apply it, and we come up with the conceivable projects and the programs, and we try to reduce the impact in a way. I personally am a climate change policy practitioner. I don't call myself expert, given the diversity and the complexity of the climate change issue. So I reduce my level of expertise to the practitioner level, and the reason is that it gives me a lot of a kind of a very different approach, a mental approach to applying my knowledge and my expertise as well. Now, there has been I'm not, you all know that the kind of challenges which Pakistan is facing, being an agriculture country, repeatedly for the last many years, we are actually comfortably falling ourselves down on the food security tables and the data which is gathered by the international organizations, with a slight variation depending where the data is coming from. World Bank have their own methodology. Similarly, the UN agencies, they have their own methodology. But I think the one common factor remains that we have been losing space, and starting off as a highly agrarian country, and we still are. And agriculture is not only a means of production for us, but it is also a very cultural, social, economical component of a vast segment of society and the population in rural areas. Now, talking about food security, it is nutritional part is very much part and parcel of it. It's a very essential component of it. But when we're talking about the food security, it largely or generally it encompasses 3 or 4 different components, and which basically starting from the production, and then goes to the logistical aspects of it, and then going into the nutritional part of it, basically showing that what we are producing and how it is aligned with the food needs of the population. Now, I'm not going to deny the fact one of the reasons is, and if we see this in the agriculture history or the production history of Pakistan, we see this, that we have actually made some leapfrog. 1970s Green Revolution is one key example, and since then as well, there has been tremendous and remarkable progress in the agriculture sector, especially when it comes to the yield per hectare. But another big factor has been the population growth rate, and which actually have been one of the diminishing factor for reducing the per capita food for our population. These all challenges are going to remain. I mean, what is the new threat to the food security is the climate change. And this threat is so overarching and is so cross-cutting. It basically is going to affect the food production from all the three components of it, starting from the production, going into the logistics, the distribution part of it, and thirdly to the nutritional value of the crops and the crops which we are producing. And when it comes to the climate change impacts, it basically threatens and it adversely impacts all 3 components of it. Now, there are people and there are studies which have been actually highlighting that this is a looming threat. This is an emerging threat, and any country like Pakistan, who's highly dependent both in its GDP contribution as well as the food needs, has to be a lot more alarmed and has to be a lot more conscious about it. Some work has been done, and we see a lot and we hear a lot of talk about the climate smart agriculture practices. Since I have been tasked and have been mandated to talk about the strategies, and it has become quite a buzzword and a fashionable to say the climate smart agriculture practices. And I must also say that my own organization, National Disaster Risk Management Fund, under our climate change portfolio, we also supporting several activities in different parts of the world, which basically are to promote the climate smart agriculture. I must say that, and I've been studying this, and I've seen some of it in the first hand in my previous life while working in Africa, where the shortages are a lot more acute than Pakistan, and a number of attempts there has also been made. Some successful, some not successful. I think we need to learn from those experiences from the other parts of the world, and try to customize and come up with the approaches which are a lot more suitable, a lot more bespoken to our domestic need. Now, being a practitioner, if you ask me how do I see what is a climate smart agriculture, I would say that this is basically invigorating or reinvigorating the incorporation of agriculture, expansion, production, and the climate change receptionist of the changing weather patterns. It's easy to say and apply this definition, but it is extremely difficult, because I was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised some of the work which Bahabar Kisan people are doing, and I think this is the kind of education, this is the kind of incorporation and engagement we need to do that. Informing them, engaging them about the changing weather pattern, the disasters, I think this is absolutely fundamental. But I think this is, you know, if you want to reinvigorate, if you want to incorporate the weather patterns into the agriculture expansions and the production systems, that needs a lot more than that. I think the missing link which I have seen so far is the R&D component. There was some talk about it, and there's a lot of talk about it, which is happening actually, how the research and development that need to domesticate and come up with the new varieties of the seeds and others to come up with the weather the cropping pattern which are suitable with the changing weather. The challenge there is the weather has been changing so drastically and so erratically. So this is a catch-up game. This is a catch-up scenario which is increasingly becoming difficult to come up with the kind of solutions we need, because the crops needs a lead time. The new seeds needs quite a long period of, you know, after their successful R&D component, they need a very large and a long period of domestication, as well as they are bringing into a mass scale production and then to become the part of the food system. I think the missing link is there, where the research and development and the successful attempts of the research and development have not really gone into the production patterns with extreme level of success. I think the other challenge is, as I said, with the erraticness of weather and the frequency of the changes due to the climate change. I think this is going to make it even more difficult how this gap can be covered. Now this is applies to same to the water as well. So this next is very highly interconnected and interdependence. We know there is quite an upsurge and renewed interest about the water security, and we know there's a lot of work going on. Ahmed Kamal Saab is going to be talking more about it as well. But what we know in Pakistan is a unique scenario. We got the seasons where we have a lot of water, you know, quite a lot, much beyond our capacity, as well as we can use it in a useful manner. And then there is a period of acute shortage of water. I know this from experience just before this floods. We were actually approached by the Balochistan government, and they actually came up and they declared 14 of their districts as drought districts. And I don't think I need to explain and illustrate what is the correlationship between the drought and the water shortages. And then very few weeks later, exactly those districts, both in Balochistan as well as in Sindh, they were underwater, and we're still actually suffering with it. So this is a challenge which the climate change and the gravity of the challenge which climate change is bringing into it. I think in terms of the kind of viable and workable strategies, I think what is more important is there is a need to invest considerably more what we are currently doing into the sustainable agriculture practices, and to come up with the projects and to come up with the varieties of the crops which are resilient to the new heat levels, as well as the other weather patterns, because the seeds and the crops are so sensitive to the changing weathers. Similarly, I think the most of the strategies can be capped or can be clubbed together under the climate smart agriculture practices. But then this is not something which we can take it from somewhere. This need to be developed, and they need to be developed with the involvement of the farmers and the local farmers. I think one area where the government can be extremely useful and helpful, and I see this some of the developments happening, is the use of new technologies and the mechanization. And we see this to some level that that is being incorporated and being introduced in Pakistan. But I think mechanization have reached and evolved to a very different level. We're talking about not only the traditional machines, which still have a lot of space and room to be incorporated in Pakistan's agriculture practices, but the whole world and what we're seeing, the technological development have leapfrogged, and they're moving into the digital technologies, which have a very high viability and applicability in Pakistan in the agriculture sector as well. And I think in terms of the development and the progress, some steps can be comfortably skipped and reach to the next level without much disruption in the agriculture sector. Community-led sustainable development and sustainable agriculture projects are extremely important, and some of the work which people and an organization like Bakhabar Kisan are doing, I think that need to be bridged together, and that need to be escalated and expanded as well. So I mean, just few thoughts. I'm leaving with all of you, and once again, congratulations for this session. You have really done a commendable job, and thank you very much.